goddamn get it on, will ya? Woo. When the blow up now, everybody's so unusual with it. Shit. But said times in his rhymes, cause his memories, we running through New York.
Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over a video which I know a lot of you have been asking me to do since I've got the M5 back, and that's been, did my rod bearings actually need changing? Now, I know a lot of you guys didn't really see clearly in the video about if they needed changing or did need changing. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to show you the Vanos line, because I know a lot of people always say that Vanos line always deteriorates. Well, I'm going to show you mine and the rod bearings all being changed at 100k, and bearing in mind all this is original parts fitted to the car, and we're going to see if they actually did need changing and how bad they actually were. And this should give you guys a guide, and this should show you if you should or shouldn't actually get yours changed. Okay guys, so as you'll see here, this is the S85 V10 motor, and as many of you guys know, this engine is plagued in rod bearing failure as well as the Vanos line failure. It's a common problem that needs doing on the S85 at least every 100k. This has just been done, and the reason these need doing on this engine is because when they come out of factory, BMW didn't know that obviously they suffered with that issue, and people wasn't letting them warm up properly on time. Also, people are doing long service intervals, so every 10k was the oil being changed on these engines, which was way too long, and that was damaging for the rod bearings also. Now, I know a lot of people say because you have to refill this with oil every 1,000 miles, in theory you're actually giving this engine clean oil and new oil, so you shouldn't have to change the oil, but you still have to change the filter. So it doesn't make sense not to change the oil itself and the filter at the same time, regardless you're giving it new oil. Now everyone is aware of the problems and the common problems on this engine. People will let them warm up properly, people will change the oil on time, so you probably will never have to change the rod bearings again. And if you buy the ACL rod bearings with the extra clearance, you shouldn't suffer any issues. I mean, if you was going to change them again, you could do, but it's very rare someone's going to do 100k very quick time. Once they're changed, it's a car you use on the off chance, and once it's been changed, it's done for a good 100k at least, and you won't have to worry about it, and it's peace of mind for that reason. So I'm going to go and I'm going to show you if mine actually need changing, and we're going to look at the state of them and also the Vanos line as well. So here we have all the rod bearings, guys, and as you will see, they're not in too good of a condition. Now, as you'll see, this one here is down to bare copper, as you'll see, and I got very lucky with that one. Now, all this around here, you would expect that's from obviously being a combustion engine, where it makes explosion inside the engine to create the power from the fuel and the spark. So that's normal wear, but this is not normal wear on the copper. As you'll see, quite a few of them are down to copper, and it was literally just the perfect time to actually change most of them. Now, one of them was quite scored. Now, I haven't got them in cylinder numbers because at the end of the day they're only doing, but I do remember when I did the video, the ones closer to the flywheel were actually more worn than the ones away from the engine. There is one here of a crack, and I would have shown you on the video when I had this done, but as you'll see, all of them badly pitting up as well, and it was a good thing I did change them. So a lot of people are under this belief that you don't need to change the rod bearings on this car. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I even said myself I'd be pissed off if I changed these and they didn't actually need changing, but I'm really happy I did get them changed, and it just shows this is the wear over the life of the engine, and it made it to 100k, so it was the perfect time to change them, and we had them all changed. So now there you have it, guys. That's the state of the rod bearings they were in. Now, as I said, I got there just in time, and you know, nobody's ever done them before, and you would think, being on this car, people knowing about it, and it's had nearly 7 owners, people would know to change them up. People just don't spend the money on it, but now it's done. As I said, this is probably the most sorted M5 in the country, in the UK so far, with everything done to it. You also see here, this is the well spoken about Vanos oil line pipe, which a lot of people say cracks. As you see, this one's in perfect condition with no tears or rips, as a lot of people in the US seem to think this cracks. As you see here, it isn't cracked even inside. They pressure tested this before they even done the system, and the oil pressure was perfect, and it was perfect after again, so there was no leaks from the Vanos line, no codes before that or nothing. They did change it out and asked them to keep it just to see, but it has been changed for original BMW part, but that's the old line as well. I've kept the bearings in case, you know, I ever wanted to sell it. Then the old owner's got the old bearings there as well to show and see the state of them. But I got very lucky, it didn't eat up the crankshaft, and the crankshaft was still perfect and didn't need resurfacing to have to fit the new bearings in. So that goes to show you guys, if you are under the belief if you should or shouldn't change your bearings, I recommend you should go and get them changed out, and especially do this Vanos line, because a lot of people are under the belief they don't do that. Even the garage I went to, they had just done an M3 and they didn't know what this line was because the person never changed it out. Now if that does fail and ends up giving you Vanos codes, you have to go back down there, remove all the sump and everything to redo this line again. So it doesn't make sense not to do it, because otherwise you're going to pay the same labour again twice just to remove this Vanos line for your Vanos codes, and it's not worth the headache, because that's why you're going to run your head around rings. A lot of people under believe these don't fail, but I wasn't taking any chances. My guys did try to tell me this didn't need changing, but I said to them I want it changed. I wasn't taking no chances on that for the job to have to go back down there to do it all again. And this is exactly why. But as you see here, we do now have the new ACL bearings in, which are the extra clearance ones, and these are the factory BMW ones. And I just want to say, guys, if you are considering buying an S85 or S65, please let me just say, make this your first priority before anything else, and then focus on the other parts that ain't going to kill the engine. After seeing these like this, I wish I had done this the moment I got it, before the throttle actuators and everything else on this car, because they were easy jobs. Because this at 100k is really, really bad, and at the end of the day, you didn't know when this was going to end up spinning a bearing on the crankshaft. So if you are considering buying this, I would highly recommend getting this changed. Do not wait to the 100k mark, because as you see here, 100k was still too late and they're already going down to copper. I just want to state as well, this car did have oil analysis done 3 times, and I've got the papers in the book, which I'm going to be showing you on another story when I show you everything I've spent on the M5, how much I paid and all the documents this car's come with. And I'm going to be showing you that they had 3 oil analysis and it never showed that it was down to copper, and this was only at 97k, and one before that at 89k, and these have been at copper for a very, very long time. So that just goes to show you, don't ever believe the oil analysis data for the rod bearings. And if you have got an LCI model, you'll know they don't show signs of wear because they don't use copper ones anymore, so you therefore will not even get an indication on your oil analysis. So as you'll see here, these are down to copper, so do not take the risk. This car was just on 100k. I bought it at 99,000. Be aware that make sure you get these changed out the moment you buy one of these cars. Is so important, unless it's already been done. But again, if it has been done, you're going to want proof and some kind of receipt. Do not take the owner's word, or some rod bearings they probably bought online, because I've been seeing on eBay and on Gumtree, and also in America on Craigslist, people selling used rod bearings to try and sell their S85 to say they've been done. And a lot of people go by this belief. Make sure you have a receipt and the rod bearings to hand to see the state of them, to know the car's life, if it's been looked after or been ragged. So there you go, guys. This just shows why you should change your rod bearings on your S85 and S65, and this shows you why it's very, very important. And these can start wearing from around 60k, and they can let go as early as 50k. I've seen M3s with the S65 let go very, very early on. It depends on how hard the car's driven, how many oil changes had in its life, if the person's letting it come up to temperature. You just don't know. Now, bearing in mind, these cars do go through a lot of owners, and every owner treats it differently. Now, bearing in mind, the first 2-3 owners wouldn't have known about the procedure for the rod bearing, because it wasn't released until later on, until they started going wrong, so people weren't aware in the beginning. So they were just ragged it from cold before the oil temp could actually come up, and then that after that, that's why they got rid of it when they finally found out it needs a rod bearings doing. That's why a lot of people do say they will not buy this car without a warranty, purely because of this reason on this car. But that's simply not the case. It's not an expensive job to do. The rod bearings ain't expensive either, and it's something you should get done immediately if you're planning to buy one of these cars. I would do that job before tackling anything else, purely because of that reason. Because the longer you leave it and drive it, you risk actually destroying the whole engine. And then that's when people actually say these cars are very unreliable. They're not unreliable. It's people that neglect them and don't do the required maintenance as needed and when needed. So I hope this actually clears up a lot of things for you M5 guys, and now you see the state of my rod bearings. Thank you very much for watching this. BMW Dr. Dean here, and goodbye.